Hello, my name is Jester, and I'm going to be making an attempt to run a one shot for these wonderful folks that are with me today for the Alternis Streamathon. Um, One general preface is a lot of the core baseline stuff for the mechanics of the game. I did not have finished for the prep, so this is going to be very much a narrative process, and pretty much no mechanics, card flips, or character stats will really be a part of it. So it's going to be a bit more of a through the breach in spirit than the actual tabletop RPG itself. And with that, I'll go around and let individuals. I'll preface with the character that they're representing, and I'll let the individual talk about themselves if they would like to. So, going around the screen as I can see it, we have Chris, or goes by Penal, and he will be representing D. Rifter, which is a businessman and card shark kind of character with a little bit of a sordid past to, and a linkage to some unsavory underworld entities.
Wouldn't have even been up in the mountains if it wasn't for the clues you got led us up there.
Well, if you didn't skip our plane off the side of the mountain.
And so that's Chris, and then we have Triff M, who is representing Pepperbox Annie, mechanic of incredible ability as well as a trick shooter with the pistols. And then we have Lottie West, who is representing Dr. Jade Curie, Ph.D., someone who is referred to as an augmented in the setting. They have replacements for one of their arms and one of their legs, but the individual, Dr. Jade, is profoundly intelligent, academic with multiple PhDs, and commonly works alongside her peers here to go out and be able to research things, and again, some dangerous areas for to learn things that others really don't have the chance to do. And then Codsworth is going to be Captain Sullivan, a pilot and war veteran, an individual who has quite a good reputation about himself. But due to some relatively recent events, has become noticed and chosen by the Tyrant of Winter, which is think like Cthulhuan entity and everything like that. And this has given him the benefit of some ability with cold magic, but also the general negative of the influence of some other entity that is not, may or may not be very welcome.
Question for Dr. Jade Curie. Did you have both of those augmentation, steampunk and cybernetic limbs last time we saw you?
One of them is new.
One of them is new. Which one?
You can figure it out.
What, you don't remember?
You don't remember? It was pretty obvious which one had to go after that.
Yes.
Actually, I'm going to say it's her arm.
The arm is the recent addition.
Hmm?
The arm is the recent addition.
Yes, it is.
Alrighty. So, to get things rolling into the adventure itself, an acquaintance of the acquaintance, business, and a little bit more of a friend, perhaps, of the group, Lena Morse, proprietor of the, did I say Serpent's Cellar? I keep minimizing my own darn notes. Yes, so proprietor of the Serpent Cellar. She has made use of your guys' services many times before, largely with trying to be able to get some of the alcohol from the gremlins and everything outside of Malifaux and into the city without trying to really get the attention of the guild or so, and try to skirt around certain import taxes and the like, because the gremlins make the best hooch in Malifaux. The Riverfront Slum area has been It's a middle. It's the winter as far as the seasons go right now, and in the Riverfront slums there has been a recent rash of missing persons and people washing up on the dock shores dead. And so Lena Morse has reached out to the group to try to use some of their talents in order to try to help find out what's going on and hopefully bring an end to it. And so with that, I can go into the prologue. The morning fog is already starting to boil away from the river when you arrive at the Serpent Cellar, a two-story stone-walled building with rounded walls that could probably serve as a passable lighthouse, were it a few dozen yards taller. A crowd has already gathered outside the tavern, but you don't look like the sort of people who are here for the wake. Most are wearing gun belts and have swords strapped to their backs and are a distinct sense of anticipation in the air. One of the regulars, one of Lena Morse's acquaintances, Bruce Watkins, pulls you aside and catches you up to speed. Apparently, a fishing boat was attacked by a river monster last night. A few people were killed. One of them was Nicholas Varka, the son of a local shipping kingpin, Vasilis Varka. And there are rumors that Varka is going to announce a sizable bounty of the beast's death. You know, Lena Morse died out in the river too, Bruce whispers as he glances back at the serpent's cellar. Never found their body either. It sort of makes you wonder if the river monster got them too, doesn't it? And so the group has arrived to their friend's establishment just in time to essentially be able to take part in what possibly serves as their funeral, and a group of bounty hunters grouping around as well. So the scene will move on as Vasilis Varkas comes into the spotlight. The man's rumpled and expensive clothing approaches the crowd, silencing the murmurs of speculation that have been running through it. His white hair is uncombed, his eyes are red and bloodshot, and his breath is heavy with drink. He looks out over the assembled mercenaries as he leans forward on his cane, as if the death of his son sapped the strength from his otherwise fit body. Those of you that have heard the story of the Ferryman no doubt think it a myth, he says, his voice wavering with emotion. You are wrong. It is real, I know it. For last night, that damnable creature took the life of my son, just as it took the life of your friend there. He gestures towards the serpent cellar with one hand. Be it monster or man, I want this ferryman killed. Bring me its head, and you'll be handsomely rewarded. Vasilis seems to straighten up slightly, and when he next speaks, his voice carries across the crowd. 150 guild script for the head of the ferryman. 150 guild script and the gratitude of one of this city's wealthiest shipping magnates. With that, he basically kind of hunches back over and joins the rest of the crowd. Is there anything that you guys would like to do at this time with the news that you've been given?
So did I just hear that our friend that invited us here in the first place is recently a victim of this creature? Is that what
Yes.
Bruce just said?
Yes. The attack last night, Lena has gone missing, as well as the body of Mr. Vargas' son found.
Damn.
So we've lost one of our patrons, but it sounds as though we could, if we can find out who killed him and this scion, we may come in for a hefty reward. And I personally am a bit touched about losing our friendly host here, so I have nothing at all better, or that I'd like to do more than go after this river monster and the wanderer.
Yeah, and she always had the best suit. Let's find this monster and pour one out for her.
Well, I
So-
suppose if you're all gonna head out there, I can't let you go on your own.
And just as you guys make the decision to band together, Bruce Watkins speaks up from the crowd. Just who's the ferryman then? Someone working for the guild? And Vasily Varkas straightens back up and takes his attention to Bruce and says, "You've never heard of the ferryman?" The old man tightens around his cane. It's said that the ferryman appears on dark, moonless nights to take the dead to the afterlife. Some say he has a quota to keep for his master, and it's not above drowning the unwary if the total comes up short. And then his voice grows cold. My boy is the last one it'll be taking, mark my words. This ends tonight, and it ends with you. And he motions to the group of sellswords and mercenaries and bounty hunters around. At this point, all right. So yep. So with the general scene that you have around you, what is the first thought of action for the group to take?
Do we know anybody that has a boat?
That's a good place to start.
Yeah, I mean,
Somebody
Sulli, you know anybody around here with a boat?
So we got a few areas to be able to go to. We got available the docks right nearby, the local street areas, and then a library should the doer's library for the sake of looking up any information about the ferryman or anything of that nature. And over in the dock area, there is a crewman and a moored ship, the Anna Pafsievo. Okay, I'm just going to say the Anna P because I'm going to butcher that name every time I try to pronounce it. I'm going to put it into the chat here in case one of you is much better at these things than I am. So there is a moored ship. This is a two-tiered steam-engined paddle boat for this individual instance. Does anybody wish to approach the nearby crew member for that of the ship, or talk to anyone else that might be around the area? How are you going to go about getting information or trying to find a boat?
Well, I guess, oh yeah, by all means.
Oh, I will walk up to somebody who looks like they're the most in charge of the situation and go, "Hello, good sir. Is there any way we could procure about renting your vessel?"
He just gives you a sideways glance up and down. Captain's not around, and I sincerely doubt they'd be renting anything out for this. You might have a better luck trying to talk to some of those bounty hunters about some of the sailboats, some of the rowboats that they got. There's a couple guild patrolmen over there. They got a boat with a petrol engine on it. Maybe that could be of use. But
That sounds helpful. Thank
other
you.
than that, like, what are you looking for a boat for?
We have a little excursion that we must go on. So I do believe that we are looking merely for a vehicle that could be lended to us for the situation. We'd be willing to pay back a fee on return, of course.
I hope, I hope you realize that going on these waters right now amounts to suicide.
We are very capable, I can assure you.
You don't have to get on the boat, D, if you don't want any of the pay at the end. Works with me.
Oh, I mean, like, I'll get on the boat. I just didn't want to pay for the boat. I mean, I'm just saying.
I
Right, so
But
We'll
I'm
find
sure.
us a free boat, D.
Yeah, find a free boat.
So, as far as
Pay for it.
providing leads for possible boats, what we have here is there's a couple guild patrolmen that have a small boat with a petrol engine. There's some nearby bounty hunters that have a small boat that they themselves wouldn't fill the full occupancy of it. Perhaps something could be arranged with them. Word has it that Vasily Varkas has a small fishing boat, but you'd have to go talk to him about whether or not to be able to make use of it. He has gone back to his estate for the time being. And then in a little bit further away, in an adjacent quarter, there's talk of a captain, not the one for the Anna P, but for that has a steamboat trawler that may or may not be persuadable with money to be able to risk his boat in the waters these next few nights.
Oh, hunting for this river monster is all very well, but I believe that what the esteemed potential client said is that he's paying bounty on the ferryman, and I'd really like to find out more about the ferryman if we can, but library research is not my specialty. Perhaps perhaps you could help us with that, and then we could reconvene later this afternoon or evening.
It would be my pleasure, darling.
So there's 3 avenues for getting the information. Basically, out in the streets with the people passing by, with just general charm and affable nature for that. There's the library for the individuals of a more academic nature, to be able to go through the books and talk to the other folks that are there for information. And then there's the nearby dock area for individuals that a little bit more of a rough and tumble, streetwise kind of vibe. And what avenue would folks like to possibly take? It will now tell you who you meet.
If the good doctor's gonna go poking around in the books, we got a little bit of time then. So D, why don't we put you in charge of getting us a boat?
Find us the free boat.
All
Yes.
right. Who it is?
And I'll see what the word is on the docks. And Annie, I mean, whoever
Well,
you think we should
although
go with.
some do, a certain few do find me charming, I believe that the docks would be more my setting for talking to people. So I too will head toward the docks to see what rumors I can pick up.
Alrighty. So we'll establish this with first we'll do the captain and Annie as a small group. Then I'll move over to Dr. Jade and then Mr. Rifter. So what we have here. Okay. So you've already met the crewman of the AEP who's over in this area. Gave you a little bit of information about some other areas to possibly find a vessel. You see the guild patrol, a couple guild patrolmen, as well as a very cocksure-looking bounty hunter kind of walking around.
I think
I eye up the cocksure bounty hunter. What kind of weapons does he have? Does he look brash and not really worthy of his surety, or does he look like a well experienced
So,
fighter?
so there's a famous family called the Ortegas, and
Ah,
it's very obvious that this individual with the style of dress he has and the sash across his waist of being very specific to that family. So whomever this is, it's a member of that family. He has on one side a straight sword in a sheath, and then he has his body's bespeckled with bandoliers and ammunition, and he has a revolver that is of a very similar uh, quality as one of yours.
mm-hmm. All right. Well, I'd like to approach him, being obvious, hands away from guns. Lass is at my side, but not threatening. Just behind and a little to the left. And So I approach him and give him a nod to start off with.
Uh,
Does he reciprocate?
oh yeah, he gives you a nod back and kind of gives you a once over and scene of the nature of the pieces that you have on you, the quality of it and everything. Um, gives he appears to look upon you with approval with that, and he says, "Good day.
Good day to you, sir.
What is it I can help you with?"
Well, I and some friends of mine I'll be meeting up with later are very interested in whatever we can find out about this ferryman business. Don't like what we've heard and would like to see if we can find a way to put a stop to it. Have you
Uh,
heard about the ferryman getting more active lately?
so I've heard a thing or two about the ferryman, and rather interests me meeting my competition right up front, such as this.
Well,
Anyway,
perhaps we could share a drink and trade a couple stories.
um, perhaps I'll need to wait. I'll need to delay that drink for another time. As of right now, I have business to attend to. However, I can give you a little tidbit of information.
Do
I've heard that the ferryman often appears for 3 or 4 nights at a time, then goes quiet for a month or longer without surfacing. This
mm,
time around, it appeared twice, but only Nicholas Varkas and Lena Morse apparently are among the missing and very likely killed. Nicholas Varkas, as we know, the body has been found and interred, but Lena Morse is still an MIA, probably, and that's not uncommon for this vile creature. Everyone expects more attacks to follow. This has just started, and so it's going to be the next few nights are going to be a little exciting along the riverfront.
but a frequent contact, and I, for one, do not like the idea of her body being used by the ferrymen, being lying unconsecrated and perhaps used by resurrectionists or even worse. And although the uh, the bounty that Vasily is offering is attractive, I also have somewhat of a personal stake in this.
Be careful with personal stakes in these matters, miss. Those kind of things will oftentimes get you killed.
You have a point, sir.
Anyway, my name is Eliado Ortega. Kind of nice to
Eliado,
meet your acquaintance. And
it's a
you are?
pleasure to meet you. I am Annie Curie. Some call me Pepperbox Annie.
Oh, I've heard of Pepperbox Annie. I may very well need to make good on that possibility of a drink later. But for now, I must go.
A pleasure meeting you, sir.
Okay, and so we also got a couple guild patrolmen out here. If Captain Sulli wants to take a look at them, or there's also the crewman. The information that gathered from them was for the rowboats, but yet no one's asked them about the ferryman as of yet.
I was so the guild patrolmen. They are what kind of counts as like a city watch here.
Yeah. So is for the setting itself, you have a few factions that are the primary players. Among them, you have the Resurrectionists, which is a general cabal and like loose knit type deal of individuals that um, deal with the resurrecting bodies, and typically are not looked at very fondly. You have the guild, which is very antithetical to that process. They're more or less the law and the trade and the taxes and everything, and but they tend to do so with a little bit of a iron grip and aren't very kind to those without means. And then you also have uh, the M&S union, the Machine Steam Fitters Union, which make up a lot of the blue collar employees and the people basically mining, putting together rail lines and the like. And there's the Arcanists, which is a general grouping of academic individuals seeking out the different magical colleges and pursuits in that direction. And so, yep, very much just kind of like local watch.
So heading up to these guys, gentlemen.
When the kid takes a glance at you, straightens right up and says, "Oh, hello, Captain Sullivan. How are you doing?" And the other kid's going like, "What are you talking about?" And it's like, "No, you haven't heard. This is Captain Ivan Sullivan. He's helped out the guild in a lot of those past little situations." "Oh yeah, heard about that."
Indeed, I was wondering if you young lads could tell me anything you know about these rumors going about this so-called ferryman.
Oh my, well, some stories claim that the ferryman can cloak himself in a thick rolling fog that rolls over the water like a living creature. Like, seems to be able to summon it up, or it's other little things like that. And, the other kid bits like, "Oh, that's just hogwash and everything. The fog comes in and out naturally for this area. That there's no supernatural players for something like that. Don't be silly."
Yeah, there's a lot of weird things that happen here in Malifaux, so I wouldn't put it past anybody. So you say he kind of rolls in with the fog. I mean, either way, whether he's causing the fog or not, it's a good warning sign.
Well, I have also heard that if you were to pay the ferryman a single silver coin, he'll transport you anywhere along the river.
I
And
was
then,
told not to pay the ferryman until after the fact. So
yeah, and then the other guy said, kind of smacks, cuffs the guy in the back of the head again. "You're just telling tall tales again. You shouldn't believe everything that you hear the people in the taverns mumble about."
right. Well, you pay him, he gets you someplace, comes in with the fog.
Oh,
What do you know about these recent disappearances?
So yes, and the one that hasn't been really spouting the silly stories pulls out a little ledger and says, "Oh, we have a one Nikolai Varkas, dead and interned. We have missing Lena Morse, as well as we have." So this is for the recent brash of sightings. The last sequence of issues were about 3 or so months ago. But all of those, all of the dead have been accounted for and the family is contacted, and given the patterns of these things, looks like as if this batch of it is just about to start. You don't intend on going looking for that thing, do you?
Well, there's some folks who are concerned that this ferryman's overstepping his bounds, and someone's got to make sure that we strike the right balance. Last question. Given the nature of this ferryman, the whole dead and souls, any connection to the resurrectionists?
It's heavily suspected. Nothing been concrete. There have been the occasional death marshal along, asking questions and picking up information and found bodies to be able to take them, get them cremated and checked for some of those more nefarious magics. No word really comes down to someone of our station for that. I can tell you that they've been around.
All right. Well, thanks for your time. I won't keep you from your duties, gentlemen.
Captain, before you go, if you're going to be going out on that river, he turns around, fishes something out of his boat, and then he hands you a portable arc lamp. And so, here, you could probably very very much make use of this if you end up getting out on those waters to be able to help you see what's coming.
All right. Well, thank you kindly. I will accept said portable arc lamp.
Yep. And then, yep.
And then look about for my companion and meet back up.
That sounds good. And so we'll move down to Lottie West with Dr. Jade, Curie, Ph.D., and you are at Dewar's Library, looking around. And so at Dewar's Library, you can see the acquaintance Bruce Watkins is around, sitting down and reading from a book. There is a young shoeshine who is, as you walk up, offers to shine your shoes for a small coin, as well as the librarian of the establishment.
I will turn to the shoe shine and be like, perhaps in just a moment, darling. Yes?
Wonderful.
And I will turn to the librarian and do a quick cursory glance around the space to see if I see anything that would immediately pop out to me as knowledge that I'm seeking. But I would turn specifically to the librarian and be like, I'm looking for some information on something that might not be the most digestible.
Could you possibly give me an idea as to the subject matter?
Of course, I just wanted to warn you in case you are someone who gets upset by certain things and of the such. Now, I am looking for information on the Ferryman.
Oh, yes. Okay, so we have a catalog of local news reports and everything for that, as well as some additional information around, let's see here, around some of the going-ons for the shipping routes in this area. Would either one of those be of interest?
I think looking over both would be interesting because I am the first thing sounded most like I could gain some needed information from it. Could you point me in that direction?
Absolutely. And the librarian leads you over to one of those kind of like slide apparatus deals that has negatives for the past news clippings on it, and you kind of just scroll through and look through the viewfinder. Looking down through that, information you find is there's some information regarding uh, possible eyewitness accounts of the ferryman. So those who have seen it describe it as a lone robed figure at the stern of a small rowboat. But none of these have been verified as like up close sightings or anything of the like. There's also information that after the ferryman kills someone, most of the time the body um, is taken and not seen from again. So in the case of Nikolai Varkas, having found the body is actually a relative rarity.
Interesting. That would almost make me wonder if this is a copycat. So I'm like writing that down in my little notebook that I definitely have with me. Do I have the second thing that we taught was like the routes? Were we able to determine?
So so the shipping routes. So looking down that, you're basically you find some information regarding some guild logs of commerce around here, and there's been some token inquiries into the ferryman, but since some of the victims have been suspected smugglers and individuals that haven't been up on their taxes or otherwise straightforward with uh, the law in the area. But uh, due to the illicit nature of some of their businesses, not a lot of the cases have really been looked into. And the only individual outside that seems to have a whole lot of stake for the commerce in the area would be Mr. Varkas.
Fair enough. Well,
And with that, you feel like a little tug on your pant leg.
hello.
You see a little orphan child, and just kind of go, "Hi, I want to give you this," and then holds out a medallion to you.
Oh, thank you. Where did you acquire this? And
Oh, my
your name?
big sister Molly gave it to me, but I think you'll like it.
Oh, well, thank you. And she's gonna reach into her coin purse and
Hmm.
hand the child some small but significant amount of money.
The kid's eyes light up, and they just kind of eagerly scamper out. And so
Wonderful.
the object that you were given is relatively like calling it a medallion is a bit of uh, a stretch. It's a wooden carving with like a sigil on one side, but it's carved out, and it looks to have spots to where you could anchor a necklace to, but it's currently just the individual piece.
Okay, well, that feels at least significant. I'm going to tuck it into one of my pockets carefully. Is there anything else that looks like information that I would be drawn to within the confines of this establishment?
So within the confines of this establishment, it's mostly just like the local information. Um, you can There some information that's a bit more of like a tall tales kind of things. Some poetry, but not that's been written about like the ferryman or similar like boogeyman stories. But a lot of that, being an individual, an academic individual, you don't really expect to find anything really pertinent to that other than just the tales of scared people.
Perfect. That's at least I spent the time to research it.
Hmm.
Even
And
though I didn't get one.
and on,
She's
on your
like,
way out, Bruce. Oh hey, um, Dr. Jade, was it?
yes, yes, how can I assist you?
Couldn't help but notice that little trinket you have. I believe I saw Lena Morse with something very similar to that a few nights ago. Well, where'd you get it?
Oh, some child just handed it to me.
I'm curious. Very curious. And then he just kind of, lost in thought, walks away.
I'm gonna like reach into my pocket and just like touch it for a second and be like, that's interesting.
All right, and so now on to, assuming that you don't have anything else that you would like to immediately do, we can move on to Mr. Rifter.
Good to go.
All right, Mr. Rifter, you have a few possible leads on being able to secure a water-worthy vessel, and what is your intention?
I would like to first go to the bar and try to grab a bottle of hooch,
Okay.
like a full bottle of hooch, like that goblin stuff that I'm sorry, what was her name? Leanne, right?
Lena Morse.
Lena.
So,
That Lena liked.
so
And then I would like to make my way up to Mr. Vargas's place, have a chat with him.
all right, so off to Mr. Vargas's. As we get the information room. Yep. Nope, not there. Vargas's boat. All right, so asking around, you easily get directions to his place from the local residents. You find a large estate tucked away behind a wrought iron fence. The estate is actually two smaller buildings that appear to have since then been combined into a single structure with an add-on between. And this is the dwelling of Mr. Vargas. And so you go up to the, I imagine you go up to the front door.
Yes,
How
sir.
do you announce your presence?
Yeah, I would just walk up to the door unless he has like some kind of armed guards or anything, like trying to.
No one's stationed outside.
Yeah, I'd like ring the doorbell or knock on the door.
All right, and so a butler, for lack of a better term, answers the door and says, "Yes, how may I help you?"
Yes, my name is D. Rifter Esquire. I'm here to talk to Mr. Vargas.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You will find him in the study, third room down on the left.
Alrighty. Yeah, I'm gonna make my way down that way. Do I see anything conspicuous on my way?
Walking along, you just see some like mid-level opulence and everything on here. So the place is definitely kind of a cobbled together house. Um, Very much a situation that kind of gives the vibe of someone who wants to kind of like be that upper echelon of society, but it isn't quite there yet. And there's a lot of things around that are basically just there for like show. Some things that even your eye can kind of catch are actually kind of like fakes or forgeries of something, but to a less savvy eye would still be impressive.
Okay.
And so you find Mr. Vargas in his study. He's just sitting in a chair and leaning over a glass of wine and kind of muttering to himself. Doesn't seem to notice you even at first.
I'm gonna kind of knock on the door frame. Excuse me, sir.
Oh, yes. And you are?
D. Rifter. Yeah, you can just call me D.
No, very, very much. Oh, I believe I saw you outside the Serpent's Cellar this morning, did I not?
Yeah, you did.
Are you here about that bounty? I told everyone out there 150 guild scrip, that's the offer. You're
I
not
mean-
going to change it from that.
Oh no. No, like the money is not why I'm here. And he's gonna
Then
pull out.
pray tell, why are you here?
Yeah, he's gonna pull out the bottle of hooch, and he's gonna say the barkeep was a personal friend of mine in my groups. I just wanted to commiserate here with you, maybe share some stories about our loved ones. What can you tell me about your son? He's gonna pour the hooch into his glass.
But that's mighty thoughtful of you. And he kind of takes a long look at the hooch in the glass there. Grabs another one for you and sets it down.
Oh, I
He said,
appreciate it.
"Well, here, have a seat." And goes into some stories about his son Nikolai being a next up and coming individual, right from the family name taken right after his old pa. The future of the family business riding on his shoulders, and the kid taking every opportunity that he had to be able to live up to the family name. And so the loss of which you could tell by the man's voice and everything, very weighing heavily on him for a multitude of reasons. Even with the general air of this person kind of being a bit of like a ruthless, moneyed individual, there's a very sincere tone of loss in his voice.
He sounded like an awesome boy. Sounded like you did a good job raising him. Yeah, can you? I just want to help each other find whoever did this. Like, and you said he's called the Ferryman, so I'm assuming he strikes on the water, or like what happened to your son in Leanne? Like, were they on a boat trip and then they got, or did they?
I know nothing about what Lena Morse may have been up to. I don't believe her and my son had any business with each other. Probably just wrong place, wrong time. It's not frequent that we would be able to retrieve the body of those who are lost, so I'm fortunate in that regard. However, there are the others of his crew that he was with that night who have gone, who I haven't heard back from yet. You might be a good idea to look into a local watering hole to see whether or not you'd be able to find one of his other crew hands. Trying to, I believe, Cleft, John Cleft was among them. There were Jimmy Bodsworth, and there was also, oh, I never paid too much attention to who he hired. I had trust in my son and what he was doing, but assuming that the rest of the crew didn't meet their end, similar to my son, you might be able to learn a little bit more about that evening from whomever might be alive.
I'll be sure to hit.
How do you intend on?
And Jimmy?
What's that?
You said John.
Jimmy Bodsworth and John Cleft were the two names.
All right. He's gonna write that down, and he's. I hear also that you might have a boat.
I have a small fishing boat. It's nothing real fancy, but it's worthy enough for the river. Why do you ask?
Yeah, we have a top-notch captain in our crew. Promise get your boat back in pristine order, but like if you lend me the boat, I can help track down who did this to our loved ones.
I'll tell you what. Leave the rest of that bile behind, and I'll tell Reeves over there to unmoor the boat for you.
By all means, and he's gonna pour himself like one last little glass, and he's gonna be like, to justice.
To justice, and to my son, and to the end of the ferryman.
To the end of the ferryman. He's gonna take a shot. He's like, who do I talk to again about the mooring of the boat?
He rings a bell on his table, and the guy comes along and says, "Oh, right this way, Mr. Rifter." And he leads you out back of the estate, alongside a small dock spot where there's a landing to get to a section of the waterway that gets out to the river, and you see a small rowboat that would fit about 3 people. A little fishing boat. It's got like a tackle, little spot where you can put a rod, but just a very quaint little fishing boat.
Alrighty, I appreciate you.
All right, and so do you anything else that you would like to possibly look into at the moment before we round back to some of the other players?
Yeah, I'm going to I'm gonna go back down to the watering hole and see if I can start tracking down Jimmy and John.
All right, and so off to do that. And so let's go ahead and go back to Annie and Captain Sullivan. So with the information that you have at the moment, where do you believe that you'll be going to next?
You said there were like just local fishermen and stuff as well.
Yes. Yeah, there's so looking around you can see there's some local fishermen around, but most of them don't appear to be too hasty to get out onto the waters. Some of them you'll see some in like the taverns for the most part, and none of them are really out by the docks or anything of that nature. Basically just kind of like spinning good old fisherman stories and chatting off the ear of anyone who will basically be within earshot.
Well, I'll be within earshot and sit down and just kind of cough around, for the folks at the table that I'm sitting at, and then really just get into it once the drinks come in.
All right, and rather talkative individual that you learned goes by the name Whiskey Pete. Off to your side, starts talking about a time that he met the ferryman on his boat a few years back. Damn near took my arm off. My butt. And he rolled up his sleeve to reveal a long, jagged scar, but I fired 2 bullets in the thing without it flinching. And it was closing in on me. I grabbed my shotgun and I let loose both barrels as he kind of pantomimes the action and nearly falls backward in his seat. Leaning forward and lowering his voice, but I assure you that just no mere shot is going to really affect this creature. You see, I have a secret. And he kind of like looks around and says, I loaded up my shotgun with rock salt, and it drove off the fisherman. Get him away from my spot. That way, I can keep looking out for that speckled creeper and get my prize.
So you're telling me that the ferryman ain't a man?
It's got the shape of a man, that's for sure, but I tell you what, it don't react to no weapon that I've done seen. But this here old rock salt shop, and he sets out this small ammo box. Yeah, it got him to run a surefire away.
That's wild. That's wild indeed. And he ain't messed with you since, huh?
Oh, he sure didn't. I served that Heasy Whiskey Pete on the rock waters, and you just leave me alone. I keep looking out for that speckled creeper.
All right.
Say, you wouldn't happen to be wanting to maybe buy any of this special shot, would you? Keep yourself safe if you're going out in those waters next few nights.
Do you have it with you?
He taps the ammo box that he set on the table. I sure do, right here. And he opens it up, and you can tell that it's very crudely assembled. So basically, he just has the shotgun shells, the primer charge, and whatnot, and then a portion of the delivery payload has just been replaced with packed salt. So they will fire. They'll do the thing, but this is a very very amateur assembly.
I just kind of under my breath to Annie, like, I think you could pack shot better than that.
The idea is worth a drink, though, and I'll buy him a drink.
Oh, thank you, Lee. And then shortly thereafter, he just starts muttering about the one that got away, the speckled creeper, to fish up that beast and give him for my pan.
Well, I've got several ideas for how I might want to improve my armaments before we go out hunting tonight, so I'm ready to stop looking for rumors and go take care of that. And I want to visit a silversmith and a grocer, get some silver and salt, and then go back to my workshop or the quarters that I share with my wife, and get to assembling some purpose-built demolitions. Maybe see if I can add a little filigree to Lass's teeth that might make her a little more effective. That kind of thing.
Oh,
And loading
very
my
wise.
shotgun. Right.
Absolutely. So that covers your activities for the remainder of the evening here. Did you have any specific intentions after encountering Whiskey Pete here, Captain Sulli?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I think we've tapped out the docks, and I will also tuck in for the evening.
And
note with what's his name, Bruce
Watkins.
Staying, or are we staying in that? That's a tavern, right? We
you don't have accommodations established just as of yet. The Serpent Cellar is more of like Lena Morse's dwelling and a shop. It's not really a tavern in and of itself. But let's see here. I did have a. I was trying to remember the name of the nearby watering hole. For lack of a better term, I'm just going to call it the local tavern, the Red Herring, does have accommodations available. Should you want to rent out a room and be able to have a place to congregate in relative private.
Yeah, we'll do that. And like I said, I'll just leave a note with Bruce in case anyone needs to.
Yep. And so before I move back to Mr. Rifter with his search for some specific individuals, was there any intention of something that Dr. J. Curie wanted to do before meeting back up with the rest of her group?
Not specifically. I think most of the information that I've wanted, I've gathered, and I'm just gonna try to keep thinking of ways to work out these problems.
Right. And so we'll go back down to Mr. Rifter. Asking around, you find your way to the Welsh House, which is a tavern several blocks down from the Serpent Cellar. And walking in, you have come across a gentleman who, um, of the name of John Cleft.
What's going on, John? Is it right?
He looks up at you. His eyes are practically unable to focus on you. He's quite a few drinks in. And you say, "Oh, who's asking?"
Oh, my name's D. I'm just trying to track down something that happened to the Vargas boy.
Oh,
I hear you guys were tight.
Yeah, I worked for the Vargas kid. You're a good kid. He said it. Yeah, he just kind of his gaze focuses entirely off of you, and he kind of just stares across, looking at almost really nothing of it.
So like snap and like, hey, yeah, stay with me here.
Look,
You okay?
Yeah. Well, I was out with Vargas the other night. Yeah. He was taking care of some business for his father. We didn't think nothing of it, as we do. It's been several months since the Ferryman's had his business, and tonight it always happens, and you can never, you don't know when it starts. And it just happened to have started. He didn't think that it was going to be a problem, but he was wrong. Ferryman came upon us that night. I tell you, he rose out of the water like an angel of death, and he hooked poor Nico right through his left arm. It's like he was a fish. Pulled him over the side in the blink of an eye. He raised his hands to his face and pinches the bridge of his nose. All we could do was yell for him until the fair man rose again. He claimed Albert the same way, and then me and Jimmy were able to get over onto the dock and start scrambling out. And the only good thing about me in this, other than being a coward, is just I run a little bit faster than Jimmy. And I haven't seen him since. But damned if I would look back again after seeing what I saw. Just horrible sight. I've seen them get hooked and dragged away and just swallowed by the waters.
Nah, that's a bad way to go. So he just came out the water with a hook?
I wasn't really looking right at old Nico when it went down. My attention was in a different direction. By the time I heard something, he was being pulled in. I could see the thing through his arm, and it was just splash and panic thereafter.
Damn. Well, is there anything you can tell me about the Ferryman himself? Like, did he have like fins or anything, or was it wearing?
Whatever it was, it sure moved through the water like something possessed. Ain't no person I've seen that can swim like that. And if the creature didn't have fins or gills, I don't know what else it would be. But I'm pretty certain that hook was just a part of its arm, like the rest of it, and it had other gnarly bits attached to it, and not think about it more.
I mean, yeah, I totally understand. Here, let me help you. And he's gonna try to help him up because it's clear that he has had far too much to drink.
Yeah, he's he's basically just a soft surface away from being passed the fuck out.
Yeah. Where do you stay?
Yeah, and with that he retches up and you get some of it on your shoes.
Ugh.
I'll be all right. And he starts to kind of walk his way towards the front door.
All right, he's gonna look at the barkeep and he's gonna be like, is he gonna be all right?
Truth be told, I don't know if the kid will ever be right again, but he does live nearby, and I'm sure his ma's waiting on him.
Alrighty. Speaking of him, have you seen Jimmy?
No one's seen Jimmy around. After what I heard there, I wouldn't be surprised if Ferryman got him too.
Alrighty. Appreciate that. And he's gonna give him a coin, slide it on the bar. Yeah, can I get some club soda and a glass of water?
Absolutely, and he hands that out as well as a wash rag.
He's gonna wipe up the stuff with the club soda and then like put the water on it. Do the with the rag, and then he's gonna make his way to the next to the next bar, or like he's gonna try to meet up with his compatriots, and he's assuming there's some.
You guys meet back up. Captain Sulli let Mr. Watkins know where he was getting lodging for the day. And so as you guys, as individuals are walking around and everything, Bruce finds you and says, "Oh, a red herring. Captain Sulli is waiting for you there." So with that, I'd imagine the rest of the group can congregate together and go over the information that you've gotten.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
Jade, I assume you tell the rest of us about the charm or token or whatever
Yes,
it is that the kid gave
I
us.
carefully showed, but I've also kept it very much on my person because I have a feeling it's important, but I don't want to flash it around.
I think it may be important, but I'm also mighty worried. Very few people in this town have the resources to just be giving away presents for no reason. I think it's possible that this little urchin is working for the ferryman and has tried to mark you out as a target with this thing. What do you think of the idea of getting some kind of dry goods shopkeeper's dummy, putting some of your clothes on it, and putting this token in its pocket, staking that out? I don't want to use you as bait. Nah. I know you love to be in the thick of a fight, but to just set you out for a sudden swoop like the ferryman is said to do, I don't like that. But setting it up as a target, setting this dummy up as a target, maybe that would work.
I mean, do you not think that I could handle myself? Because I can assure you that I could.
And darling, I know you can handle yourself and many other things as well. Very finely, I might add. But I don't want to set you up for the first strike. I think if we hang back and can set up an ambush for this ferryman, things might go a mite better for all of us all around.
Fair enough. I will heed your option on this occasion. But I could handle myself, just for the record.
I know you can, darling. One of your fine, fine qualities that I appreciate.
All right, so going over what we have here, the ferryman is known to attack at night. Typically goes in the spree of 3 to 4 days, before going back silent for as many as a few months. The last night being the first sighting, so raring to go. Lots of other individuals raring to basically join the search. Several other bounty hunters, including one of the famed members of a member of the famed Ortega family, is around. The Rifter got himself access to a small rowboat that will only be able to fit about 3 people.
I mean, the Curies could double up, right?
We can get nice and cozy.
Triple with laughs.
But yeah, well, we got a boat. There's not much to it, but if we really need to get on the water, we can get on it. And apparently this Ferryman is just like some kind of sea beast with a hook. Has a whole bunch of gnarly bits on it.
Hmm.
I mean, not just, but like, yeah, you know what I'm saying.
So what are we bringing in terms of weaponry?
Oh, I'll let you fine ladies figure that out. You guys are the muscle of the operation.
Do any of the others have riflery skills or any kind of long range options?
So Captain Sullivan definitely knows his way around firearms. D. Rifter doesn't have any skill with more long rifle and has passing skill with sidearms.
Okay. I'm just thinking if we split up, we don't have many ways to cover each other unless we just have like a rowboat trailing along behind the sailboat.
So you
Which is an option, I guess. We could get a sailboat somewhere pretty cheap. A rowboat pretty cheap, probably. Just a little dory.
Yep, you guys can definitely try to get yourself a second vessel. You have the one secured, and options do exist for Gian to be able to increase your choices.
Since the fishers aren't going out much right now, one of them might be willing to rent their boat for a little while to make some money coming in.
Very logical.
That makes sense.
So, in querying the local fishermen and whatnot, you find that the bounty hunters have already kind of gotten to most everyone before y'all have. So at this point, any fisherman, whatever, with a small boat or whatnot, has kind of already made a deal with someone. So what you're down to at the moment for the immediate area would be possibly those couple guild patrolman kids and the petrol engine boat that they have. You also have the possibility of maybe talking to some of these bounty hunters and seeing if you can't make a deal or otherwise muscle them out of the boat that they've acquired.
Character, I'm just picturing that scene in Jaws where all the bounty hunters have descended on the harbor running into each other.
Mm-hmm.
I am now skittish about boat sizes.
Yeah.
So how big is the patrol boat, the patrolman's boat? Like, is it also like a 2-man boat or?
Yeah, it's about 3 people with a large tackle, a large box of in the back that could possibly be moved out for more space if you needed to.
And the average fisherman's boat?
The fisherman boats are around 3 people. And so very similar to what Varkas has.
And the bounty hunter people boats.
And those being the purchased fisherman boats.
Oh, okay. So we're looking at a boat seat cap of 3 anyway. So we're good, I think.
Ready.
Yeah, I don't feel like I need to go look for a different boat option if nobody's really gonna offer any extra seating.
All right.
I mean, even if we share like with the bounty hunter, that's like one more person.
Mm-hmm.
So good job, D. Good job, D.
I mean,
At first we were like, what the hell? But now, actually, good job, D.
We did it. He did the thing.
I did it.
He said he was going to do it, and he did it.
Got the free boat.
All right.
Sometimes willpower is truly the most important factor.
All right, well, I suppose we want to get some decent rest then and head out in the morning.
I believe he strikes at night. Or let's see, what do I remember? Does have the tales said that the ferryman strikes mostly at night or dusk or dawn or what?
In nightfall.
So night is not the time for us to sleep.
Yeah. It's time to double steep your black teas and charge forth.
Or coffee, if that's what you prefer.
Very brief moment to take a snip of an image to put into chat here for y'all to make a decision as to where it is that you might want to go. There's 4 sections of the river to make a decision on, and I'll basically just do a little bit of randomization myself, given the information that you have, to influence the situation. Where am I going? Transform. There we go. All right, so pop that into chat here. So click on the image there. We have the 4 little outline sections of the river, one for each of the suits for the Malifaux setting cards. We have rams, crows, little masks is the purplish area, and then tomes down bottom.
Where are we looking? What are we looking at? So
in the Discord chat, voice chat, there is a chat thing. I can also, I don't want to do a share screen because that'll screw up the overlay.
Right. Where has the ferryman struck before? Tonight. I mean, with the.
Let's see here. So we got the serpent. So the serpent cellar is next to the crows section. So that would have been the most recent attack.
So do we go right into the
your
breach?
researches, Jade, has the ferryman stuck to one area, or does he tend to move up and down the river?
The articles that you found, Jade, indicate that the attacks have occurred up and down the river.
So perhaps not looking at the most recent area of his attack, then.
Well, I'll go ahead and put it in this chat too. My apologies. So it's in the group chat. I put the image as well.
There it is.
Alrighty.
And where did the other ones happen?
So the most recent one happened in the green section, and in the past, And they've happened all up along the stretch of those 4 locations.
Okay.
So, do we want to set up our little decoy and head to the green section?
Green means go.
Has there been anything to indicate that he doesn't strike like close to the same place, he or they rather? Just it could be a fairy them. So, is there anything to indicate they did not strike? They don't tend to strike in the same location multiple times, like that. We might want to.
Nothing that you guys have come across have given an indication to that.
It seems more or less random then.
It appears so.
Okay, I guess we're just gonna row a boat down the stream until it attacks us.
So
Yeah, wait, I guess we could cruise up and down the river rather than staking out one particular area. As long as we don't.
what's the intention for the setup? You got the single small rowboat. Who's going to be on it? Who might not be? You mentioned a decoy. How do you intend on that panning out?
Would suggest Jade, myself, the dummy, and Lass in one boat, and the rest of our party in the other, and they can rush to our assistance. Jade and I are more or less the frontline fighters, so the rest can accompany us and rush to our assistance, if they can, once the ferryman attacks, if we are so lucky or unlucky as to draw his attention.
And for the spotlight, the lamp, do you guys want that on the front, the point one, or the bait ship, or the trailing?
We don't want it too obvious that our dummy is a dummy, so we don't want the light shining on the dummy.
I mean, we can turn the lamp on even
Mhm.
after like the attack happens, right? Like,
Yep.
so have it on the ship without, and then if the attack happens, then we can shine it where it will illuminate the most.
Yep.
How elaborate are my
Okay.
illusions, by the way?
What's that?
What?
How elaborate are my illusions, by the way?
They're enough to be able to distract someone or to fake small hand-sized objects.
Okay, so I can't just like make a fake boat in front of us
No.
or cloud
They
us?
only work. They only work if you can get your target to close their eyes and then imagine.
Just believe.
Matson!
Could you perhaps make the dummy look more lifelike with
Yeah,
your
he could.
illusions?
He could.
Alrighty, I'll totally do
That would
I'll
be
totally
nice.
help that way.
Because out of all the things I am, I'm not particularly artistic, I'd suppose.
Oh, you've got the aptitude for it. You just gotta,
Yeah.
believe.
Well, you can always grab another skill. It's
There's
never
not a
too late.
whole lot. There's not a whole lot of logic to aesthetic.
It's true.
Okay, so that's going to be your setup. Let me go ahead and hunting Ferryman. All right, so for this first night out, we got the sky. The waters are calm. The sky is clear. It is still very cold, and we're coming up on the halfway point as well. So let's go ahead and think about doing a break here before we go out on the excursion. And this is probably a good time to mention the prize for the stream that I'm doing here. So I have with me 5. I have a handful of art books for Shadowrun. Rather old ones. These were printed, I believe, back in like 1993. So it's the High Tech and Low Life Art of Shadowrun. Had them in my possession for a while when a friend of mine was one of the individuals clearing out an old fossil warehouse. And so I got a total of 5 to be able to give out to stream participants. So, however that process is going to work out for being able to decide who might be able to be awarded one of these, I got several to be able to give out.
Nice.
That DMZ image on the front cover there, that is my favorite Zalesnik piece ever. The perspective on that is so wild. Like, I remember the first time I saw that, I thought like they were on some like weird like beam, like way up high. But no, they're just on the ground, and it's just like the angle of the
angle of their turning, right?
perspective.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I had the exact same impression the very, very first time I saw it. I thought like it was the bike was in the air or something to that nature, but yeah, and a lot of this stuff is just some of the art for Shadowrun that I've always just kind of like seen and just make my imagination go absolutely wild with a lot of the possibilities of what the setting has. Yeah, I'm not going to do very good with the key chrome thing I got going, but yeah, got a few of them to be able to give out. So folks that would like them, however that prize process is handled. And with that, I guess now would be a good time as any to take a break. Hello, we're back. And to remind everyone that we have a giveaway for some art books, for Shadowrun art books, high tech and low life. The instructions for how to be able to be eligible for that prize should be in the Twitch chat. And before we move on, we'll give a very, very brief reintroduction of our cast. And so, Cottlesworth, if you'd start it off.
Hello, yes, I am Cottlesworth, Danny, but on social medias and stuff, you can find me as Cottlesworth. And I am I have been playing Captain Sulli, who is a sort of a pilot of various vehicles of all manner of nature, currently between vehicles. And just dealing with some things in life. Apparently the spirit of winter has decided that I would be a good agent for them, and I don't know if I want that. So, but in the meantime, I'm down here in the slums trying to figure out if I can't solve the mystery of who or what murdered a friend of mine who called me down, and doing it with some old chums.
Lottie West.
Hello, I'm Lottie West, and that's where you can find me on socials. It's at Lottie, LOTTIEALAWEST, on all my socials. And I am playing Dr. Jade Curie, Ph.D., a very smart, sapphic lady, half made out of constructions of steampunk ingenuity. That's all I'll say. Yes. Married to Pepperbox Annie.
And speaking of Pepperbox Annie.
Hey, y'all. Yes, I'm playing Pepperbox Annie. And I am a sharpshooter, a tinkerer. I have the honor to be married to the lovely Dr. Jade Curie, and we also love our construct lass. As for me, I'm Triff.D. Mats. I do some stream moderation for our Vanillarons channel. I do podcasting on several different podcasts. You can find my blog at whatsthewordnow.blogspot.com.
And last but not least, Chris. You're muted, my friend.
You're gonna regret telling me that. Yeah, hey everybody, it's me, your boy Chris. And yeah, I'm here pretty often. Yeah, I play on Tuesdays as Frodo, the dude behind the car during Shadowrun. See, Told you would regret you regret unmuting me. But yeah, yeah. And today I'm playing D Rifter, Esquire, a smooth talking drifter apparently. So yeah.
All right, and so with that, we left off before the break. The group has gathered some information about this mysterious ferryman and some of the going-ons towards the missing individuals and the bodies that do or do not show up. They are currently um, have a plan between a couple small rowboats that they've acquired, with the front carrying some of the more robust mainline fighter folk, as well as a decoy with a mysterious and foreboding little medallion that Dr. J. Curie was given by some mysterious little orphan child. And that is where we'll pick it up. So it is the first evening. It is dark, and but the waters are calm. The sky is relatively clear, and there's still with that general effect of fog over the water limits the general view. But there's still the benefit of the light from the moon. With that, pardon me. And with that, how does the group intend on casting off and going about it?
All right, there, ladies. What do you got? What would you like to do? You're in the point. You're in the point.
Jade and I are no navigators, so perhaps our pilot could take control of the sailboat, and we could be towed along in the rowboat.
Right. And the where are we putting the decoy? In the front boat?
Well, I should think the decoy goes in the boat with the frontline fighters, which are myself and Jade, and the rest of you can assist us as soon as it becomes necessary.
I mean, I don't have a preference. I just know that when it goes down, this shotgun ain't got the best range on it.
Mm.
Fair enough.
So I'm happy to be be navigating with this fine decoy here with me. Quite well dressed, I'd say, and wherever everyone else feels they need to be.
So each boat has roughly about 3 people worth of available comfortable seating, and with the decoy taking up a spot and last essentially taking up a spot, it's going to be full capacity on the 2 vessels, right? And so with the primary one having Sulli already taking one of these slots as the pilot, if that one's also going to have the decoy, then it only has room for 1 more, and then the rest would be on the other ship. So if you want the decoy with the leading vessel, that's the setup. Or if you want the decoy on the trailing vessel, then you can have Jade and Annie with that, with D-Rifter, Last, and Sulli on the leading ship.
You know, why don't you get up here in the sailboat with me, D? I think that this fine contraption would do better closer to the folks that know best to cajole it into proper action.
That makes sense to me. As long as I don't get any more mystery fluids on my coat, I'm good. So
it's just water. Now we don't know what mysteries are in that water.
It is also in the middle of winter, and that water is deathly cold. So just be aware of that.
Is it cold? I hadn't noticed.
Most everyone, it's definitely cold too.
Right.
Bundle up.
I'll hand over a couple of my special laced shotgun shells to y'all in the other boat. And I believe that Lass is agile enough to jump from one boat to the other since they're towing pretty closely. So I believe then it can be Jade and I and the dummy, and Lass can go with the others.
All right. And so, with the first evening out, a rowboat with a lantern propped up on its bow slowly materializes out of the thick fog ahead of you. There's a man inside. The general figure of an individual on the ship. Still out of sight for much detail at the moment, so you guys take any action or continue to move on as you are until
I blast him out of the water. Nah.
We just explode him.
We'll just get everybody. I'll actually hail. I'll call out, "Hoy there!"
You shout out, and you can see that now you can Annie would recognize the gentleman as Eladio Ortega on the ship there. He has his foot propped up on the edge of the boat, and he's just got his pistol lazily pointing off in your guys' direction. Buenos noches, he says as he clicks back the hammer. Why don't you all turn around, head back to the shore, and leave the ferryman to the professionals, eh?
I can't. The steering's broken on this boat.
I mean, it's true. But I done seen it.
That's what happens when you get a boat for free.
Well, that he laughs quite heartily. Well, it is how it goes sometimes, isn't it?
Hey, we're floating, aren't we?
Well, you certainly are floating at the moment.
Tell you what, Senor Ortega, we will move off to another part of the river and leave you to stake out this part.
Mighty appreciate that, man.
As
And
long as
so-
one of us gets this creature, it doesn't hurt to have a few more on the river.
Right, and so with that, the group will move on to another segment of the river. I'm not really going to be too terribly picky on exactly which one, and we'll go into let Elia to himself. As the evening goes on, some cloud cover comes in, and the air is getting a mighty bit chilly. So let me just get to the right point in the. So hours have passed. No sign of the ferryman as of yet. But things have not been very peaceful. Every new shape in the mist sends you reaching for your weapons, and sometimes things bump against the underside of the boats, raising concern along what else might just be in the river tonight.
Floaters.
The sound of just then, the sound of loud gunfire pierces the clammy silence of the night. As you can hear some cajoling and some encounters and a cry for help off down the river away from where you initially came.
Does this sound more like a personal territorial disagreement or a monster attack?
The gunfire was not reciprocated. It was one-sided. So whatever it is, it doesn't appear like people are trading shots. It sounds much more like it's just one direction.
You ladies want to head that way? I fixed the steering problem.
I say let's head in that direction.
Alright.
With caution.
Yes.
And so heading off in that direction, you get there just in time to be able to see the remnants of a boat, kind of broken apart, and a hat of a non-script general just hat kind of floating along the water next to where this broken up rowboat is.
Free
I'm
hat
gonna,
for you, D.
yeah, so I'm gonna reach up and grab the hat.
Never turn
Right.
down a free hat.
Just
So D reaches out for the hat, and then suddenly, the water nearby erupts, and a tall figure bursts out of the river, showering you with cold water.
Shoot it!
It rises into the air. A grisly creature of a drowned corpse, clad in filthy plaid, pallid robes, and it seems attached. That seem attached to its body at various points. Its empty eye sockets stare out at nothing and everything, and its mouth gapes wide in a silent scream. The creature's cadaverous arms end in a curved, rusted blade, almost like oversized fish hooks. And with that, it swings down at Mr. Rifter. And
Please tell me.
it is able to take a gouge out of your arm, reaching for the hat, but the hook doesn't manage to take hold, but it does give you a mighty decent flesh wound.
Tetanus, and its passion is terrible. Blast this thing.
We can fix it later.
And so with that, the ferryman has arrived and is currently assailing individuals in the front ship. So let's go ahead and just go down the order in whatever manner that the players want to do. We'll basically just kind of have you guys discuss action, and then once everyone's kind of got a plan, then we'll talk about the reaction of the creature as such.
Alrighty. Since it just like gashed me, I'm trying to get to like as far away from this thing as I possibly can, and gonna ask Gramps to help heal me. That's what I want to do.
All right.
Right. I have very fast reactions, so I am going to try to well, obviously shoot at the ferryman, but specifically I want to disarm it, literally if possible, but mainly to get the sickle out of its hand.
Okay.
So I'm called shot for.
All right. And so let's go ahead and narrate those going-ons. Rifter, you sink back into the ship, and you call forth that malevolent spirit that has been bound to you for ages now, after a card deal gone down about as bad as it can. And he just kind of like chuckles in and says, ha, kind of figured that you'd be calling me back so soon.
Yeah, gloat later. I'm leaking over here.
I can see. Well, I do owe you one, at least this time. But next,
Is this something we can see?
do you want them to be able to see the entity, Chris?
Oh, what would be funnier? It'd be funnier if no. But yeah, no.
No.
Okay. And so you can't see the entity hasn't materialized in any way that you guys can see, and with that, some your wound glows a little bit, kind of purplish as the bleeding stops, and portions of the wound will knit together in a rather haphazard fashion. And Pepperbox Ann fires off a couple shots from her pistol, and is able to get a nice clink off of the side of the end of the hook, snapping it right off. So instead of a hook, it's much more of a kind of a machete at the end of the creature's arm at the moment. And so Captain Sullivan and Dr. Jade.
So I'm up here right by it, and it is whooshed up out of the water like some sort of breaching man thing. Is this the extent, or does it look like there's more to this creature beneath the water?
Ooh.
So at this point, it's basically only like waist up out of the water. So if you were to assume that the individual has the general composition that a man would, that's what you see, basically just the waist up. So at the very least, its legs or whatever would be considered as such are still under the surface.
So what for my action? Then I take the arc lamp and I shine it into the water to see what is going on under there, because
Okay.
I have a feeling that there is more to this than just. I mean,
The
I've got
undead
fucking
man
no
iceberg.
fairy.
All right, and so you take the arc lamp, get a shine down in there. The creature kind of hisses a little bit as the light shifts around, and then looking down, you can see that it's just the semblance of a man, right? But it's basically waiting. There are some additional things kind of riveted into its ankles and whatnot to kind of provide as rudimentary, um, uh, like little flappers, fins of sorts. So it's it's able to displace a little bit more water propulsion than you might otherwise do with just your feet.
Uh, and then does he have the face of a man? Does he?
Yep. So,
Okay.
the eyes are gone, sunken features, and it is essentially a revivified corpse from all intents and purposes of what you can see at the moment. But with additions here and there of spiky bits, jagged bits, and various things. Jade? Yep.
In the words of a wise philosopher that I had seen on television, you are one ugly motherfucker. Oh, yeah, that was my action.
Yep. And Dr. Jade?
Well, I'm most poised like as a person for melee attacks, and I'm a little bit far away, aren't I? Like I can't
So
really...
yep, you're a little bit far away. And also you do notice that the medallion on your decoy is shining a little bit.
Oh.
Nothing real distinct, but it's a light shine. If you didn't know any better, like it just kind of almost looks like how light would glint off of metal or glass. But since that thing's made entirely out of wood, it shouldn't be doing that.
Be doing that. Well, what if I like kind of shake the decoy to kind of get his attention and bring him over here, because I could do some damage if I'm close, but I'm not
Mhm.
close. So I would like to try to kind of entice him to come over to this side,
All right.
with my wagging the fake version of myself in the air a little bit and kind of seeing how the medallion can shine a little bit more.
All right. And so with that, the ferryman directs his attention away from Captain Sulli, looks back at the trailing boat, and then dives underneath the water, and it's silent for a moment.
Mm.
He's
Oh,
gonna get there fast. He's got paddle boat legs.
He's
Mhm.
gross. There's much more attractive ways to augment yourself. That's not one of them.
All right.
Very true, Don.
As you guys, we got Rifter in the front boat with Sully and Lass. Your arm's no longer bleeding, but you just lost in the couple like suspenseful moments here. Is anyone doing anything real specific, or is basically just kind of like keeping an eye out, weapons drawn?
I'm switching from pistol to shotgun with the special load, and I also have a little demolition that I whipped up. If I have a chance, if it gets close enough, I'm going to try and shove the demolition device in its mouth and if not, I'll
Okay.
shoot it in the mouth.
Oh man, yeah.
I love
Without,
that.
of course, as long as I don't get, as long as Dr. Jade, I will wait to make sure she is not in the way of that.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
am steadying myself, and since I have like 2 augmented limbs, I'm kind of using them to I'm using like my arm to kind of anchor myself into the boat
Mm,
Hmm.
because I am very afraid of it just kind of flipping over the boat. And I
Hmm.
like make an eye over at Annie to like make sure you're steady. I mean, like I know she is, but
mm-hmm.
I'm also like, ooh, let's get ready to rumble, essentially.
Right.
That's right.
And you look over at Annie and you basically kind of communicate that little bit. And the ferryman jets out of the water behind Annie's side of the boat and is basically coming in. You basically have like a split moment or so to possibly react. Annie, it's behind you. Jade, it's in front of you, but on the other side of Anne at the moment.
Okay. Fire.
Yes.
All right. And so, Jade, Annie, you're gonna fire off with the shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And the salt rock shot goes and peppers about, and the creature seems completely unfazed by
Oh.
that, and is then moves in and slashes down at you. And I'm just mentioned just in time for Jade to be able to block it with her staff and try to deflect the attack off. But the ferryman is now kind of grabbed onto the side of the boat and kind of rocking things a bit.
Uh,
Yeah, so I'm like holding like the staff, and I'm obviously like kind of like I have like a little bit of like since he's clutched onto it and he's clutched onto the boat, like I can kind of push him a little bit, I'd assume.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Okay. So with my metal hand, because that's the hand that I'm assuming is holding onto the staff right now, I'm going to like kind of wiggle him away a little bit while I try to grab the decoy and like pull that up a little bit to see if I can get him like a little bit closer to me, like so we can figure out a better way to like well, eventually I want to punch him in the face, but
mm-hmm.
right now I just want to get him in real close so I could do that with the amount of pressure that I'd like.
Mm-hmm. All right. And so, Annie, Jade is positioning the ferryman and getting its attention, and the creature starts um, grabbing along the staff to get closer with one and coming in with the arm the other. What are you doing while this is occurring? I think
It
you might
seemed,
need. Oh, there we go.
since it seemed entirely unaffected by the blast of rock salt I just gave it, I'm gonna switch tactics. Since it didn't attack the decoy at first, I'm thinking maybe the decoy, maybe it's not a lure. Maybe it is actually something beneficial. And anyway, I want Jade to have her hands free. So I'm gonna say, let me take the decoy to her and take it off her hands so she can focus on just fighting. And I'm gonna try and get the locket or whatever it is out into my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay,
if I
so
have, yeah.
yep. So you take the medallion into your hand,
Hmm.
and the ferryman um, with the medallion being out in the open and everything, his attention is at that at the bauble and uh, giving Dr. Jade a really good opportunity to be able to accost the creature as it closed the distance, it got real close to you, and then its attention went from you to Annie, just leaving itself wide open. And so going in with a metal fist, gonna pull back and hit it with the staff in some regard, or the good old punching.
I wanted to kind of go in with my metal fist. I think that's
Okay,
probably the most
all right,
direct way to handle it.
yep. And so you strike in with your metal fist, and a significant amount of strength behind it. You catch it in the shoulder as it's moving to go over there, and much to the kind of like ooh factor of the moment, the necrotic flesh and everything just kind of sloughs over, and you unseat the shoulder socket in its, and the arm that was holding onto the boat is still holding onto it, but no longer attached to the ferryman's torso. And this blow teeters it back to a point where it can't reach Annie with the swipe, and it looks like it's about to fall back into the water. But you guys have a possibility to react in some regard prior to it going all the way.
Grab its head. We all
What was that?
grab his head. We only really need his head.
That's right. Can
I don't think
I
I have
close
a lasso.
yeah. I'm like, am I close enough that I could like clamp around his head, like with my hand? Like,
No, you after having just done the punch in that way, you're not in a really good position to be able to reprise in that manner.
fair enough.
Can I have so Gramps is like a necromancer, right?
Yeah,
Can I
yeah.
have him, like,
He provides you access to some necromantic abilities. Yeah, what you
Okay.
thinking?
I kind of want to like just turn this thing off. Just like I want to just like be able to just rip its soul out. Like I don't necessarily care if I control it. I just want no one to be controlling this cadaver dude. Or
Right.
yeah.
Graham said, "I can occupy it for a bit, but you know it's going to cost you something."
What you got in mind?
I'm thinking, how about that pinky finger on your left hand?
Ooh.
You a new one.
Sure. All right. Yeah, I mean, I'll settle up after the job is done. Go ahead and hold him still for
Payment
it.
for, you know how this works. Payment first, or I don't do anything.
Oh, damn it! All right, and he's gonna.
I'll
he's
make you
gonna.
a better one.
Huh?
So
I'll make you a better one.
how are you going to go about procuring the payment?
He's gonna just stick his pinky into like Lass's mouth, and just like, quick, do it.
All right. So with that, just for the sake of the narrative and everything, like Lass, just go ahead and chomps down. The pinky itself just kind of falls away in ash as Gramps then dematerializes out of your sight, and it materializes to everyone's sight just kind of behind the ferryman, and merges in with the torso as it falls back into the water. So at this point, this wound, however, isn't sealing. So you got yourself a bleeding hand there, and Dr. Jade's got a hand covered in necrotic little bits. The ferryman's one of the ferryman's arms is still death gripped attached onto the side there, and in your head, Rifter, you can hear Gramps talking to you, saying that I looks like bit off a little more than I can chew, but it seems that he's a swimming away. He's going off, and basically kind of is talking to you in your head, directing that the ferryman is swimming off to the north end of the riverfront, away from where you guys currently are.
Oh no, we aren't letting him get away.
All right.
You better get your pinky back on that.
I know, right? Like, hey.
So with you guys trailing after the ferryman, with the information provided you from Gramps there, You guys wouldn't have been able to know where it's going if it wasn't for the connection. So Pinky got you at least that much.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see off in about this time in the night, it's starting to get a little bit of freezing rain. And so you're getting kind
Because
of
of
like,
course it is.
yep. And as the weather's getting a little bit worse and the cold is going to be start sinking in and really kind of getting into your skin. So everyone except Captain Sulli is definitely feeling a bit of chill. Often at the edge of your sight, do you guys have the lamp on or off right now?
I mean, I'd turn it off if we don't need it.
Yep. So you have the lamp off. Like I said, you've been able to know what direction you're going in because of the link between Mr. Rifter and the malevolent, not so malevolent kind of spirit, and Gramps then jolts right back to your nearby presence just as you guys can see just breaking through the fog a 2 stories tall a 2-story paddle boat. The what was the Ana Pafasiveo just got marooned there, and Gramps comes in and says something took me out of it. There's something over there.
Something on the boat controlling this ferryman?
It seems so. Hey, Doc, you wouldn't have like a. Do tourniquets even work on pinkies? I'm bleeding over here. He's gonna call across the way.
It's got to go on your wrist. You lose the whole hand.
Oh snap!
Grumps kind of goes into.
You don't need to do that. I am going to take one of my cartridges and light it on fire and stick the burning cartridge onto the pinky finger to cauterize it.
I love your ingenuity. It is just.
All right, and with that, Mr. Rifter's shouts of pain kind of echo across the waters.
So, can you explain to me 2 things? What and why?
To lose his hand, he has 3 good fingers and a thumb.
No. That's what you did makes absolute sense, but it's in the wake of like this bullshit here.
Oh, like yeah. I kind of like owe this. I don't know exactly what he is. I just call him Gramps, and he helps me out with stuff and things, you know. And
he helps you out with stuff.
Have you regularly sacrificed?
I mean, like, yeah. I mean, we have a pretty transactional relationship, if you would.
Look, we ain't got time to discuss this with the committee. We have to go after this thing.
Yeah,
I say we head for the riverboat.
And with that, the arm that was attached to the side of the boat has now kind of somehow moved its way over to where Annie is and has grabbed onto the medallion.
Oh, it wants it.
And and with its hand wrapped around the medallion, the back half of it just kind of uses itself as a bludgeon and smacks you in the face. Causing you to release, and the medallion and the arm drop into the water beside the boat.
I go in after it.
You dive into the water?
Yeah, I don't want this thing getting it. It wants the medallion. It must be bad for it to get the medallion.
Okay.
I go in after it.
So you dive into the water, and you're able to get out and reach the medallion and the arm. But about that time, you realize kind of like the foolish moment at heart here. This is freezing waters, and the strength in your body is very quickly just melting away. and you find yourself not able to get yourself back up to the surface.
Oh dear God.
Mm.
I definitely have to go in. Can I actually? Okay, since I'm like half metal, and that would be very bad to get in the water.
And Captain Sulli, the little jackalope on your shoulder, is kind of like,
Use the
Yeah.
stick. Just give her the stick.
Yeah, I'm gonna use my staff, and then I was also gonna like ask for Lass to come over and kind of assist.
okay.
So seeing you know, for all the everything that's ever happened, but you know, at the end of the day, my friends, I am going to, you know, call on some magical, not quite understood power to inure and to the cold, to allow her to have unfeathered ability to move in that sort of element.
All right. And so with that, your jackalope familiar, just kind of like you and the familiar kind of just looking at each other, and you can hear the voice in your head revisiting again. And then the jackalope kind of dematerializes, and Annie, you feel a your strength return to you. The water no longer feels cold like it did a moment ago, and you can see Jade's staff being plunged down in within reach, and grabbing it, getting yourself back up into the boat, and while you don't feel cold or anything like that, your body is still showing all of the general symptoms of just like pale in color, white. Like it didn't bring back any like life or warmth to you, but somehow provided you a moment of acclimation to that environment.
Did I get the hand?
You got the medallion back.
Yes. Okay. Worth it.
We'll just say that Jade definitely is always wearing two skirts because she's a lady. So she's gonna rip off one of her skirts so that she can wrap up her wife in it.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
All right. And so, with that, you with splashing around, D. Rifter having shouted out with the colorization of his wound, you can see the paddle boat is got some commotion out on the deck, and there's a couple spotlights being shown around.
I weakly point in that direction. I don't have my voice back yet, but
Alrighty. Ladies first.
Might as well.
All right. And so, is there anything specific that y'all are going to try to do to sneak up to the paddle boat, or just kind of brazenly approaching and letting your approach be seen or known in any regard?
I mean, are we? Have we been quiet to this point? Are we able to? Is there a
no.
chance still for stealth?
There's a
like
chance still, yes.
wow.
They're looking, but if you have any ideas for something a little more maybe supernatural or grandiose to bring to the table to counteract the jig that's already been given, like perhaps speaking out to your tyrant daddy one more time to see if he can't thicken in the fog or something. Might be able to help out. Maybe another deal with Gramps could help the situation.
I
And
don't
then-
deal in favors for convenience.
Okay, so with that,
well,
Gonna
while we are heading toward the thing, I want to get the medallion out of the hand if I can, and then if there's any extra rope left over from the tow line, I want to tie the hand up so that it can't get back into the water again.
So you got the medallion away from the hand, and the hand sunk in the water.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna put on the medallion so it's harder to grab away now.
Okay, and the medallion is still giving off that atypical bit of sheen. Not so much of any kind of like illuminescent type thing. You can't light up or read by it, but it still glints in a way that is quite unnatural for wood to do. And as you guys approach to the boat, one of the spotlights finds you, and the deckhand shouts out to the group and say, "What's going on down there?"
Help! I'm injured. Can you provide aid?
How'd you get injured?
It's a long story, but yeah, I need gauze and ice and ointment.
And so the crew members scramble around and lead you guys to a spot alongside the boat, and lower down a rope ladder for you guys to be able to ascend after tying off the two boats to portions of the mooring on the side of the ship. And so with that, do you guys all ascend up to the deck?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Definitely got you.
Okay, so you guys ascend up into the deck, and you can see roughly about 5 or so sailors and an individual who is very obviously, by the way that the body language is working out, possibly the individual in charge here approaches you, and one quick second here to pull up the name I gave this guy.
I tuck the medallion under my shirt so it's not immediately visible.
Understood. Where did I put that? It was. Just trying to find where I put. I reached out to a bunch of folks in the chats and whatnot for name ideas, and my silly self, I don't think I wrote them down in my actual notes. So I'll just make a very quick look to see if I can find them. There we go. And so, yep. And the guy introduced himself as Jeff. No surname, nothing else, just straight up Jeff.
My name's Jeff.
What's going on, Jeff? Yeah.
Oh, good.
What are you guys doing out in the waters this evening? Did you know it's dangerous?
Yeah, it is. Sorry, we thought it'd be the perfect time to have a moonlit boat ride on this here river, and oh by golly, were we wrong? I swear I'm about to get tetanus, and my pinky's gone. Like, what is going on in these waters?
You're either not letting on what you're actually doing out here, or you're just really that stupid.
He holds up his hand with it's all bloody. He's missing a finger, and then like.
I just want to point out one does not preclude the other.
So you're engaging in a false dichotomy, my friend. I can in fact be both.
We ain't gonna have these logical fallacies.
Well, look, you don't need to be slinging around those fancy words. I barely know what you're talking about anyway. All I can see, this man here is bleeding from, bleeding. You're all sorts of screwed up, ain't you?
Like, have you seen the Ferryman or whatever this thing is? Or something with a big old hook. Hook.
And when you say that, some of the other crewmen just kind of snicker, and one of them just goes, "This guy believing in fairy tales too? How much has he been drinking?"
No, ferrymen. Ferrymen.
Yes.
Fairy spelled like the boat, not like the creature. Well, I guess he's both, but never mind.
Are you afraid of what bumps in the dark too? And they're kind of laughing amongst themselves.
I'd like to make
I
a
mean-
I'd like to make an illusion of like a rusty hook coming from behind him.
Okay. Yep. And you do so. Which one? The Jeff or one of the unnamed other folk? That's
Jeff.
what's kind of like cajoling you. Jeff? Okay, so that illusion comes in, and Jeff very quickly just kind of goes stark white, and and would otherwise have loaded his britches, but I didn't want to deal with that right now. And one of the guys behind him goes, "Behind you, Jeff!" And Jeff just kind of like hits the deck as your illusion passes through.
I'm also going to pretend like I had no idea what's going on, and I'm going to be like, ah, see.
And some of the other crews are like murmurs and haunts and when like in the general type buildup of that. And
I mean, you never know what's gonna happen here in Malifaux. It's a crazy place.
And with that, out of the so you have the deck, and then you have the first little stage cabin thing, whatever. Out of it, a woman walks out, um, uh, Asian descent, long black hair that's tied behind her. Um, uh, Outfit is rather well put together, and and when she steps out, one of the other hands basically does the whole captain on deck thing, and aside from Jeff, who is still kind of somewhat crapping himself from the moment, they all straighten up as she approaches. Says, "What's going on out here, Jeff? Who are these people?" And Jeff is just kind of stammering to respond. You guys fill in the gap yourself, or you wait for Jeff to kind of get his bearings about him?
I'm
You're
gonna
good at
nod
talking.
in deference to the ladies. So I'm gonna like, yeah, like I just need medical attention, and he's gonna kind of like float into the background.
We were traversing the river when our comrade was attacked by a entity. So we are in need of medical assistance. I can help provide it if you give me the materials.
With that, the woman uh, speaks a hushed tone over to one of the deckhands, and he goes inside the cabin, and she's got to pull up the. And she introduces herself. I'm Captain Kari Zotiko. And you are?
I'm Dr. Jade Curie. A pleasure. This is
Mm.
my wife, Annie.
And with your introduction, there's a little glint of like recognition to the name in her face, and she nods to Annie, and then she looks behind you two to Sully Lass and Mr. Rifter, and your compatriots.
I'll allow them to introduce themselves. Um,
I am D. Rifter, Esquire, in so much pain, almost so much pain.
And with that, your Gramps doesn't really feel like he's terribly connected at the moment.
Ooh, where was he? Where was he last?
Last that you had a solid connection to him was before you got on the deck.
Okay. All right, I make note of that.
And I am Captain Ivan Sullivan. Pleasure.
Another little glint of recognition comes across her face, and wow, it would explain why you're out here on the river at such a night. Adventurers and academics such as yourselves. What brings you to my paddle boat? And then with that, one of the deckhands comes out and she directs him off to Jade and Rifter. He comes over. He has some relatively basic supplies, gauze wrapping, not gauze, but like cloth wrappings, and even furthermore, there's some stitching and other equipment that seems a little much for what would be available out on something like this. Like this is like low grade surgical equipment that the guy is bringing out to you.
I'm going to go ahead and reach for it because I'm going to insert myself into the situation by trying to take care of the medical necessities.
Mm-hmm.
Very familiar. So I will take note and I'm like, that's quite a bit of things at your disposal. But I'll like say it under my breath. And start to get to work on D.
Yep. And so
she's busy. I will answer the owner's question, and I'll say there's been some really bad things happening on the river lately, and we were constituting a sort of unofficial patrol, looking for what may have been causing some of these problems recently. We've
really
lost
bad.
a dear friend and an important member of society.
Yeah, there's been many of those losing along the riverfront here. Doesn't necessarily make you any special, not meaning to be rude, but many of folk are losing many of things.
Special.
What exactly is it that you have found tonight?
I don't know if I mean, we were looking, but I feel like it more found us, to be completely frank.
Fair. Fair.
But some sort of feller just reaching up out of the water. Presume that this is the fabled Ferryman that people have been talking about. No accompanying fog, as some proclaimed that he had powers, but definitely something in the water that is doing a murder. So,
watching her very closely, is there any kind of knowing expression? Does she seem surprised at all, or does it seem any kind of smirk?
There's no smirk or there's no surprise, but her eyes do constantly come back to you, and very specifically where that medallion would be underneath your clothing. Her eyes keep darting back in that direction.
Well, I'm keeping a very close eye on her.
And so
anyway, we followed it back around this area, and then we saw your boat and figured, well, two things. One, we'd warn you because don't want you guys to get hauled off by the yeah, you know, and then our D's here is both.
And so with that, one of the deckhands off on the far away starts shouting out, "We caught something in the nets!" And then she perks up and basically kind of goes to the back part of the dock there. Does anyone follow along?
Hell yeah!
Indeed.
I'm still working on D-Rifter.
So Annie or
I leave
Jade
last behind to watch
Jade
Jade
last and
back.
Rifter. Yep, very very smart. Jade, Lass, and Rifter off on the side there, right next to where you guys initially got on deck. And so then Captain Sulli and Pepperbox going down to see what's going on over by the fishing nets. They pull up out of the water the arm of the ferryman.
Ooh.
And I just got the notice that we have about 20 minutes left, so I'll speed along the sequence a little bit. And about that same time, so basically pulls up the arm out of there, and Captain is just kind of looking down at it and looking back at you guys and say, something like this, what you've been seeing?
Is the arm quiescent now, or is it starting to scrabble after me?
The arm is it's still moving, but it's kind of a slow, not so lively at the moment, but the hand is still making movements.
Yeah. Except previously it was connected to like a whole other body with the second arm, some legs, paddles.
A whole other body. And she bends over and she picks up the arm, and then she goes off towards the cabin and steps inside for a brief moment. And about
I
this
trail
time,
after her.
right, sounds good. And Jade, over by you, one of the deckhands, there's a few large crates, like rather large crates, and one of the deckhands is starting to pry one of them open. You follow up on her, and when you get up to the cabin, she returns back and says, did the rest of it look something like this? And then she turns to the side, and you can see the ferryman with his arm back attached.
Actually, yeah, that's pretty good likeness there.
And then with that, over by Jade, the crate gets opened up, and inside it, bodies pile out and then start to get up.
Oh no!
And while that's happening, essentially this culminates into we have the captain with the ferryman beside her, and 3 crates being opened up with about we'll just say several dozen zombies kind of joining the fray over on that portion of the deck.
Will I have been able to have wrapped up?
Very much so. D. Rifter is well taken care of. Your skills are top notch, and the equipment provided to you is, like I said, a little auspiciously good.
He's at full health to go cower in the corner.
Perfect. Yeah. Well,
Or possibly maybe and also with this Gramp, when the captain walked away, Gramps' presence shifted back in.
Oh, he's back. All right, sweet. And you said that there's a bunch of zombies?
Well, there's about 50 of them coming out between those 3 crates.
I don't have that many fingers.
No, you don't.
You don't.
Can't stop 'em.
Well, I'm gonna grab my staff because I obviously am not gonna let these things mess with me too much.
All right. And so
Defensive position, though.
yep, in between Lass and Jade, taking a defensive position, the zombies advancing on you, you're able to kick some rotten butt and be able to hold that back. D. Rifter, is there anything that so there's them, and then there's also the few deckhands that are around. Is there anything that you kind of want to do to contribute to the situation? Because you have access to your illusionary talents without paying some extra cost, or you could try to make a deal with the Gramps to do something a little bit on the necromantic end if you have an idea.
Yeah. How about this, Gramps?
Give them their fingers.
Oh, dude, there's at least like 40 fingers over there. I will trade you their fingers for zombies.
And you do have access to surgical weapon, like surgical grade, like scalpel.
Yeah, yep, you got like a scalpel and a little bone saw at hand. So and then Gramps kind of like materializes and said, I'm listening. What you thinking?
Okay, like oh yeah. How about this? I'll give you my good left eye to to get rid of all of these zombies.
Let's hold back cutting into yourself. I think I'd much rather see you harvesting some of those deckhands once things are done here.
Harvesting the deckhand hands.
And with that, Gramps kind of fades through, and a portion of the zombies start turning on the crew itself. And so
Nice.
back to the other part of the ship, we have Captain Sulli. You got your little jackalope and Annie. You got the captain. You got the first mate Jeff there, and the newly cobbled together Ferryman. So she steps aside. You see the ferryman. I mean, right at that moment, what's the first thing that's getting a face full of lead shot?
It's clear to me that the captain of this vessel is the sorcerer, so I'm letting her have it with both barrels.
All right, and you fire off with that, and the there's a glimmer of energy that is prevailing in front of her as it stops the rounds a few inches away from her face. But at the same time, you can kind of see a little bit of trickle of blood coming down her nose as she's concentrating on that effect. And Mr. Sully?
I mean, you know, shotguns are pretty powerful, so I'm going to give her a couple of barrels the same.
Okay, and that's enough to basically kind of the shielding that she's able to pull up just completely shatters as she takes the rounds into her gut, and the ferryman dashes forward at Annie and doesn't have the hook anymore, but basically it's kind of that the machete thing, and is able to kind of dive it into your right shoulder. And at the same time, Jeff comes up behind Sully and has a garrote around your neck, and he's pulling you down.
I mean, I expected that.
All right. And so the zombies and the deckhands are narratively basically going to be taken care of. How is Annie and Sully going to react to their current predicament?
All right. I want to keep my ally up and fighting, and I'm a trick shot, so I'm going to have no trouble.
You also still have that demo charge, don't forget.
Yes. With one hand, I'm gonna reach behind my back and do a trick shot at Jeff, and shoot him. And with the other, I'm sticking this demo charge in the mouth of the guy who just conveniently, the ferryman who just conveniently came up to melee range with me.
All right, and so Jeff gets that garrote around Sully, and then not even a moment after, Sully's ear's ringing, but the tension on it goes completely slack, and you're shoving that charge into the ferryman as you kick him off, causing the blade to pull out of your arm, and you guys can see that the captain has gotten up and has scrambled back inside. As now the ferryman's basically kind of at that portion of the cabin with the charge. What's the nature of the trigger on the charge? How does the rest of this play out?
I don't have a real strong arm, so it was probably just a 5-second charge or something like that. Okay. If possible, I want to shove the ferryman off after, in the same cabin that the captain just ducked into.
Yep, you do so.
And
then shortly after, the charge goes off. Okay, and blowing apart portions of the cabin there. so the guys who are fighting off the zombies, you take care of what's there. D Rifter's left to do his grisly payment. As Gramps is taking quite a bit of delight just watching you kind of being forced to kind of like do this little task. And you guys hear an explosion coming up on the far end, and you hear a couple splashes in the water as Captain Sulli and Annie get launched overboard. Sulli, your current state and everything, you're able to be able to operate just fine in the water because of the influence of the Tyrant of Winter, and even without asking for any additional channeling or favors, you swim over to Annie and get her back to the rowboats. Annie's going to definitely need a good while and some chicken soup to be able to recover from all this, but it's you're going to need to get someone to take a look at that wound in your shoulder. The ship itself is on fire and all of that. And do you guys leave the ship to the flames, or do you try to put them out and take the ship back to the dock yourself?
Don't we need some sort of evidence for that cash prize?
Yeah, we need his head.
So
about that. We'll just grab Jeff's head.
Yeah, that works. He doesn't know the difference.
Take the sorcerer's head.
Okay, so you're just going to take the head of one of the available deckhands then?
Yeah,
All right, and so leave the ship to burn on the waters?
I mean, if we bring the whole thing in, it really, shores up our claim. So,
if you're willing to call in on the Tyrant of Winter, he can definitely extinguish the flames throughout the cabin.
Nah, I feel like we've got a lot of water here.
And how are you guys gonna get the water up there? Good old pail and bucket, make an assembly line here.
Yeah, as best we can.
All right, yep. And so you guys are able to get things under control. And there's a decent amount of damage. You find the captain has been able to crawl her way back to her cabin before they expired. You can see the sigil of that's carved in that medallion is in various places all across the ship. And as the morning day breaks, you're taking everything back to dock. When you get there, there's a couple death marshals off on the shore side, and these are like the creme de la creme of what the guild have as far as being able to hunt down the undead and all of that. And they're really gnarly looking dudes. It's basically like full black trench coat, hat. They no longer even really look human. I think it's like Ghost Rider. You have a skull that's wreathed in flames, and each one of them on their backs, chained to the back, is a coffin. And as you get the ship up to the dock, they greet you, and they start banishing away the bodies and everything, utilizing these coffin apparatuses that they have, and they thank you, and they pay you a small guild reward for bringing in some resurrectionists and getting them out of the equation, as well as you being able to confirm and receive a reward from Father Varkas for what has transpired.
Important question. Can I rip off this medallion, or is it cursed and attached to me or something?
It's not cursed and attached to you, but when you go to grab it, it's still resonating. Do you bring the medallion to the Death Marshal's attention?
I certainly don't want it. If any of my esteemed colleagues want to research it. I might hand it to them, but I'd just as soon hand it off to the Death Wardens.
I ain't got no need for it.
Yep.
I think that Jade probably already like drew her little illustrations of it and put down all of the things. So I think that she's researched it as much as she can.
Yep.
Okay.
And so you hand you get it in hand, and just as you get it in hand, you feel eyes upon you, and looking across the courtyard, you can see this young girl in a yellow dress and pigtails, just kind of giving you a rather unnatural little smile as you hand it to the death marshals, and the death marshals question you about it and everything. And as going through the thing, they tell you about a powerful resurrectionist that's been plaguing Malifaux, named Molly Squidgepiddle.
Don't like that. No, sorry, I don't like that one bit.
She is and that's actually a character from the game. But and then when they're describing her, it's exactly that individual that you saw off on the way, but when you look again, they're gone. And that's the game.
Wow.
Oh.
All right, and so I've just been given notice of our winners. So we have Cozy Potato 231, Alcazo 1, Lottie a la West, hey, and the Noodle. What is this? Noodletainment Network, and Red Eyes Inferno 12. So please make sure that you get a hold of someone with REM to be able to exchange information so we can get those books mailed out to you. And
I know Elizabeth knows where to find me.
Yep, and thank you everyone so much for sticking through this with me, even though it was kind of a bit of a hot mess as far as the organization goes. I had a lot more that I was hoping to be able to do, but just ran out of time.
Well, I had a great time playing. Thanks, Jester.
Ta-da!
I'm very, very glad you guys are able to enjoy yourself.
A great time.
Yep.
Great job. Thank you.
All right.